Park Board meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is everyone should have had a copy of their minutes in the packet. Any changes, corrections, or omissions anyone caught? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and second. Any further comment? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Any comments from anybody about anything other than agenda items that somebody wants to bring up or say? Hearing none. Go to our new business. First item we have is the Boosters' request for use of the Grandview Park for concessions.
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, this is just a renewal of the contract with the Hudson Boosters for the Grandview Park concessions. No changes other than the dates. The contract still says that the city receives 6% of all gross revenues of the sales on a monthly basis. Right now, the account, we have a approximate total of $1,800 in that account, and typically that just goes towards improvements at Grandview Park, like infield lime, bases, so on and so forth, as needed. So staff is recommending renewal of the contract.
Is there a motion or any comments beforehand? Go ahead.
No, I just can say move to approve.
Second.
Anybody have any questions about it or any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Next item we have up is old unfinished business, and the first item we have is a discussion on, we've got the land that we designated, talked about for the Pickleball Association to go out at Grandview. And we're at the point, Mike says you want to go into it, that the city administrator and the city says it's time to make it official and to designate that so it can go through the rest of their process and the like. So you want to take over on that?
Yeah, so this is basically in front of you tonight based upon the discussions that we had at the last month's park board meeting following the open house about Anderson Park, the possibility of courts going up there. Obviously, many residents came out and kind of showed their discourse or maybe weren't following or weren't jiving with what we were proposing. So park board made a motion or directed staff to look at Grandview Park. Obviously, this has kind of come full circle. Pickleball Association did look at Grandview Park 3 years ago, but funding and other opportunities led them away. But so I did look at the park itself, and there is space available. It'd be to the northern edge of the current ball fields in your packet. There should be 2 maps, and then per the request from the Pickleball Association, they're requesting space for 8 courts at this time, with the possibility of adding 4 future courts. There is space to do both. As you can see on the first map, they need 288 feet for 8 courts, plenty of space there, and then additional 144. So on the second map, it shows 143.9, which leaves probably an additional 30 feet between the edge of that far left court to the playground. But for this initial proposal, they're requesting 288 feet be designated for permanent pickleball courts.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I think it's a great idea, and I love that we're circling back to Grandview, where a couple years ago we had talked about that before kind of getting sidetracked with Anderson. I think the parking makes sense there. I think the space makes sense there. I think it's kind of what has been in the back of our mind the last couple of years, so.
Yeah, and the bathroom pavilion will be going in.
Yep, so I think it's a good idea. So I would motion to approve the use of that space for pickleball courts.
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions anybody has? If not, Chair will call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. It's yours. Yeah. Good. So
I want to thank those folks because they've worked super hard
Oh, you
over a
bet.
long period of time too. So that's a great effort on their part. So.
yeah.
So obviously, in the memo, I did put in there that, we should include it in the 2021-2026 outdoor rec plan. Furthermore, this will go to council on the 24th for final approval. So just to make you aware of the next step in the process. So
yeah, we're recommending to them that they say yes with,
Yep.
with the city property to do it.
Thank
Oh, you got it.
Support very much.
We got other stuff to talk about if you want to stick around.
Yeah.
As soon as they go out the door, we'll have April Fool or something.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much.
Is there HDMI? Okay. All right, he's gonna come up.
So is they're getting everything all set for the next portion, the boat launch area, and the redesign and look at that.
I'm okay, how are you?
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks for your opportunity to present to you tonight on the boat launch reconstruction project. All right. I've got a handout here. I'm Ted Schultz with Foth. This is Adam Jewell, also with Foth, and he's going to run the Google Earth and the map as we need to. We were just approved to proceed on the boat launch, and we have some ideas in front of you. Here is what we'd like to come and get your input. I'm calling this a project initiation survey. So kind of let's step back and think about this. So we all kind of know what maybe have our own ideas of what our outcome is on this project, but I want you to all think about, right, what really do we want the end product to look like with this facility? So I might ask you to dig into this a little bit. I'm not sure how deep you want to go into this, folks, tonight, but we're sure willing to do as deep as we need to go into it and get your input. So we have not started any real design on paper, okay? So that's where we're at, is we just got approved. We are gathering the survey information, getting the background data, and doing our investigation, setting our parameters and our guidelines, and trying to identify, right, here's what we're going to do, and here's the process we're going to go through. And so we're really, it's a blank slate, so to speak. You can sort of imagine that
Is it?
that isn't there.
Is it that blank? My question
maybe it
is,
isn't.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
The meetings I've been in with the mayor and you and Mike,
So-
the configuration and that basic footprint, if you will.
So the reason that Foth is here tonight and Ted and Adam are here is to gather some input on what the park board would like to see that facility look like, knowing that they're going to design a couple of alternative options, which they will bring back at a future meeting, March or April, depending upon how fast they can turn that around, which then we will kind of get in the weeds and say, yes, we like this design, we like something from this design and beyond that design, so on and so forth. I mean, obviously, we want to raise the launch. We want to include a boat cleaning station, right?
Yep.
There's been discussion on a fish cleaning station as well. But outside of that, as far as like, do we want to go to the north? Do we want to possibly go to the south? Same
Okay.
footprint. I
Okay.
think for sure we'll show a schematic or a design of the same footprint, right?
Yeah.
Because we've heard that from constituents.
Yeah, I think that we have, some parameters that we realize we have to fit in with a little bit, but we also feel like, all right, let's look a little bit further. Let's go left, let's go right, let's go up or
Okay.
down. I think we're really open and willing to listen to you guys on what you want. We take that back to the bigger group, and we go through that process. So that's kind of why we're here tonight. Would you like me to go down these items, or how do you want to proceed tonight on that?
Let's see.
But just to,
Yeah, go ahead.
if you don't mind,
Yeah, please.
I'll fill some time here.
Yeah.
Back to your question there, in my mind, and not maybe the rest of ours, to the north, we kind of said the box ends on the south end of the volleyball courts. Is that kind of what everyone's thinking?
Yeah. That's
I
what,
mean, when we say blank slate, but also.
That's what I was getting
where
at,
We're
is that-
starting
Oh,
at is,
there's been from previous discussion, I thought, that kind of a footprint is the outside of the envelope, if you will, to be able to squish, move,
Right.
do whatever.
Right.
And also the opportunity to look at it, doing it more than one launch
Right, right.
site.
Yeah,
To,
well,
to really look at the traffic flow that we may be, the law of unintended consequences coming back to bite us.
Right.
Let's make sure that doesn't happen.
okay. Why don't I hit the high points on this then?
That'd be perfect.
And I think I'm going to cover a lot of the things you're thinking about, so. Yeah. You know, number one, why is our project being undertaken? Obviously, we have an issue with access. We have high water issues during seasonal events. We know that that's probably number one on our list. Do we have enough parking? Does it take too long to load and unload? You know, some of those kind of factors that we want to look at. What do we want to offer for services? Obviously, we want a good boat launch that is available the majority of the time. Okay, so we're going to look at the high water, the low water, look at some seasonal events, and try to design a facility that will provide you service and access the majority of the time. You know, that's really, and what we've had the last several years is almost very limited access, right? Very, very little access. So that's obviously something we want to turn around and change. So trailer parking, we want to make it easy to use. We want to provide adequate spaces there. And the number of parking spaces kind of directly correlates to the number of lanes on the boat launch. Okay, and so those two go hand in hand together. Those are things that we want to look at. How do we know we're successful when we're all done? Okay, so I have a feeling we'll, have some back and forth discussion, and some people may not agree with their neighbor and vice versa, right? But in the end, we want the best product for the city of Hudson on this facility. We realize this is a very important, item for the city. It's a great asset for tourism, for local tourism, for locals to be able to use and be able to use the commercial, restaurants and so forth that are nearby. So those are all things we're going to look at, is how can we make this facility the most useful for the city. What is our desired end product? I think that's I want to hear from you guys. If you guys can fill these out, we'll collect them. Doesn't have to be tonight, but if you want to take them with you and collect them, we can do that. Okay, so then we really want to find out what is our objective statement for this project. So if we can get a common goal, common objective, we can try and meet your needs the best that we can. So that's really what I'm here for. Don't come with any preconceived notions. I guess maybe that's what I should have said, is that I don't have any, like, we're going to do this. No, that we don't have that. So.
Having been on the search and choice committee for the firm that got the project, one of the things that was really struck the mayor and others about your firm was the creativity, the way you looked at the project, and the way you've gathered information even up front, to come in and work with us. So I really look forward to working with you on the project. I think you bring an awful lot to the table that can really result in a really outstanding addition to the park without being just a big parking lot.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for too, and I think we can work hand in hand to make that happen. So I'm going to turn to the second page here and just go through some of these basic items, but some of the basic work items, like I mentioned, the field survey is in progress. We need to raise the elevation, so we obviously need to know what the elevations are, and we need to know water elevation and correlate all that together.
The one thing that you should incorporate in that field survey and base plan is there's a certain level of the river when it reaches, I believe it's 681, that it turns to no wake. out on the river, right?
Right.
And I think the original thought, original plan was to try and match as close as we can the elevation of boat launch to that no wake zone so that people are still able to launch at 680,
Sure.
680.3, so on and so forth. Obviously, when it gets to 681 and higher, that's when we're going to look at the possibility. But that's kind of I think that was kind of the general consensus, kind of going, is try to match that
Right.
as close as we can within reason, right?
Okay. Yeah.
683.
Is it 683 is the no
Yeah, I
wake?
think it's just a little higher than that. Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, well,
Yep.
684.
Okay,
Yep.
683.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those numbers are, what I remember too. Yeah, we'll definitely work towards that. So we'll come back with the conceptual horizontal layouts, and we have to look at what the grading and the vertical changes do. Obviously, if we bring that boat ramp higher, we have to extend the boat ramp on the same slope. So it's going to bring it closer to the city. So, all right. We do have some guidelines. There's a Wisconsin DOT facilities guideline manual that we're going to follow, okay? And there's also the Wisconsin DNR public boat and ramp and landing guidelines and grant applications and permit applications that we'll follow there too. So we will be following those. We also have some other guidelines that we have used in the past that we will incorporate into resources for this. So there are actually some very good guidelines out there. State of Ohio has some very good guidelines that we've used. Okay, so with the output of that, we'll provide a report. And then we'll come back to you and discuss that report and present that for more input. So some of the primary project components I want to go into is just, all right, our physical site limitations. We are limited. I think ideally we would have more property available, obviously, right? We're shoehorned in here a little bit. It's a little bit tight. So we do know that. We're limited on space. So we'll have to optimize that. We want to understand the users, the boaters that are out there, current and future demand. So I want to get your input. Do you feel, do we have good numbers on what the future may hold? Do we have any numbers on that?
Not necessarily. I'm under the impression if we could expand that lot 3 times the size,
Yeah.
and it'd be full on a weekend, no
Right.
problem. No problem
I
whatsoever.
think we're going to be limited by the space that we want to utilize
Yeah.
there.
That's not a bad thing
Yep.
either. We aren't
Yep.
looking to go into the boat launch business.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I think that's where, these initial questions are. We didn't want to just take off and lay out a bunch of
Yeah.
things that,
Yeah.
if we want to double it, and that's the goal, the primary goal, that kind of is the top, then we'll start there. But, if we can build phases even, and save the room for the next 10 years or so. But just wanted to kind of lay that out, and that's kind of what that first questionnaire is, to get your guys' inputs and top priorities before we kind of go off and running on a design that might not answer all the questions or solve all the problems you guys are after.
So 2 thoughts that I have. One is I would actually prefer going south with the parking. I don't want to use up that green space in Lakefront Park. I just think Lakefront Park is the gem of the city, and I think we need to keep green space. I would actually go south to the other side of, I always forget the name of it, Mike, the house there.
Buckeye Garage?
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
the Buckeye Garage. I would suggest possibly moving those play structures north to closer to the volleyball pit, or the,
Courts there?
yep, courts, thank you. The other thought I have, so I just think that's a better configuration because that parking would be more hidden. A lot of people you don't see that part from Buckeye Garage south, right? So I think that's a better place to do the parking lot. The other thought I have is, and this is not necessarily your issue, but it'd be interesting for us to think about a shuttle service where on the weekends we have the park and ride. And I'm wondering if people could launch boats and then not have to park down there. If we had a shuttle service or something at a different location where we would be able to figure something out. And it's just an idea, but I think that in the long run, something like that could preserve more of the park area.
Yeah.
And again, I don't have the solution, but I think it's worth us thinking about what might that look like, so.
Sure.
Okay, all right. We'll kind of hit through this fairly quickly. I'm not going to cover every one of these items, but the boat ramp site itself, we'll evaluate that existing site. We've looked back to the history. It's been in that configuration since before 1992, essentially before then. So we'll look at that. Our goal is to improve the situation, but not overtake, the park. I think in a softer way, softer approach. That's our approach with that. So we'll review the available spaces, both sides of Buckeye there and into the park, and understand what potential buildable spaces we could utilize.
You did mention to me over the phone, you did count the current spaces. How many
Yeah.
are there, do you remember?
Yeah, we have about right at 40.
About 40 spaces
Yep.
currently.
And it appears like, if I want to go in round numbers, going to 60 is fairly straightforward. Going to 80 maybe pushes the envelope
Yeah.
pretty tight.
Okay.
That's probably the category that we're in.
Okay.
So if you want to add anything into that, Adam.
Yeah, I think again, just going back to the priorities is, do we think 60 would work? And, I mean, it's a little easier footprint to deal with. What we're battling is as we bring that whole thing up, we're kind of losing space to make the connections. And if you're tied into the entrance or to the finished floor of Buckeye Garage, we're kind of limited there. So that's going to remain where it's at. The First Street there that's kind of been redone recently with the sidewalks there.
Yeah.
If we can't get into that, you might have your parking lot sitting up quite a bit higher than the existing street. There's been flooding issues on the street itself, so.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, if the improvement displaces water that it currently held, what consideration do we have to take in those measures? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to remedy that with an adjustment at some location. It doesn't have to exactly be right here, but we'll have to look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think like Adam mentioned, if we had it to do, we would keep First Street as an option to raise First Street. If you tell us that it has to stay where it's at, then that's kind of where we'll look at it.
Yeah.
But ideally, we would probably prefer to have First Street higher if we were, in ideal
If
conditions.
you were going to blow it all up.
Yeah, if we were going to blow everything up there. So just a thought there.
Okay.
The Buckeye Garage, I know there's been some talk, I think, of maybe moving out of that and maybe moving that into a different use. Is that true?
Yep. Currently, we used to have public works operations out of there for the park. Due to the high water and inaccessibility the last couple of years, we actually moved the operations out of there. So it's basically used for storage right now.
Right.
Yeah.
But we would keep the building there, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It's historic, I imagine.
Or, and then you
and-
have the public restroom facility
Yep.
attached to it, which basically serves the entire south
Yep.
end of the park there.
And so that's just one of those things. It could be a nice feature. It could be an amenity if we want to make it that way, and I don't know what that
It
means,
could be a
but
hindrance too.
could be a
Design.
hindrance
Yeah.
also. It would probably make our lives easier if it was gone, but it's
Gonna happen, guys.
it's not going to happen.
Talk to the city engineer before you put a lot of thought into raising the street
Yep.
with everything else that's going on down all that area already with the renovation of the other buildings, and don't know, that might be one that they would let you know right away they did not want to pursue that.
I know there's some investment there, so I get that. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up for discussion. So we're going to focus on finding a blend of parking and protecting the shoreline, protecting the park system. That's really where we want to go. Getting into more of the details of the boat launch ramp itself, we want to provide enough maneuvering room, enough backing room, enough space to efficiently get in and out of the water. And we'll look at the number of lanes. There's kind of guidelines on the number of spaces that you're going to provide versus the number of lanes that are there. So it doesn't do us a lot of good to have a lot of lanes there if there's not enough parking.
Sure.
And vice versa, right?
Yep.
So
Kind of correlate to one another.
they do correlate.
What's I know an average boat that launches out of there is probably in 20 to 24 range. I mean, how big do boats get launching out of there? Do you guys, they get up to 30, I mean, how?
Every once in a while, I think you see the guy that has the oversized,
Cutting.
yeah.
That or in the spring, in the fall,
Yeah.
while they're launching them to,
Oh, for like the
if
marina?
they, well, that for the marina, or if they happen to live along the river.
Sure.
And they tether their boat
Okay,
at home.
okay.
Right, or dock it at
Yeah.
their place.
How about sail- how
They
about
may be
sailboats?
launching a bigger boat, but generally speaking, they aren't.
Okay,
I'd say 90% of them are fishing boats that are under 20 feet, like
Yeah.
90% of the weekend and throughout the week, that's my guess.
Yep.
I
That,
think
yeah.
that's the approach we're assuming that it's basically a 45-foot
Okay,
into the boat to the front of the car.
20-foot trailer or whatever, yeah.
You lay everything out, but you just accommodate the larger one. If you say we know this guy's gonna bring in a 30-foot trailer, make sure he can get around any
Yeah.
curbs or anything. They're there if the parking lot's full, that he could still do it. He might take up two
that is
two
one,
lanes, but.
Can we limit the size? Is that commonplace in a public launch that, I mean, I've seen a few
Yeah.
homemade houseboats that are, you know,
I don't know, that would be hard to regulate unless you're going to police it somehow, but you somewhat
yeah, we
police
don't
it
have
by,
the kids sitting down there anymore.
by parking length. If they can't park to a
Right.
certain distance, then they can't really use it.
True.
So that'd be about our only way to police it unless we were actually down there all
Yeah.
the time.
yeah. Because right now, the way it's configured, I mean, there are times when larger boats too try to launch there, right? They're trying to put in a 30-foot boat, 28-foot boat, whatever. And the turning radii in
Yeah.
that lot
Yeah,
are difficult with only a 20-foot boat,
Right.
trailer. And I've seen that there's a overhead light down there that's probably been hit about 30,000 times, and the curb is all, I mean, it's just, oh man, if you want to get entertained, go down there on the
Right.
weekend. But I'm just saying, it's just something to keep in mind, kind of given that range of how many boats are within that 18 to
Yeah.
24 range. It's probably, like you said, it's probably like that 80%,
Yep.
80 to 90.
and there is 3 categories of boats, I guess, really. There's like 16 and under small boats.
Yep.
16 to 26
Yeah.
medium boats,
Yep.
and then larger above that. So
Yep.
I think we want to be in that medium size, maybe 26, 28 is probably okay, but it's pushing the limit.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're at, and a 45-foot combo trailer vehicle, I think, is a common, design vehicle for a ramp like this. Okay. We mentioned some of these things. Docks, is really another thing. I think that, the function of a boat ramp is partly because of how many boats are being launched and how many lanes there are. Then it comes into how much staging area do you have for those guys to set up, to, get the tarp off, get things unhooked if you need to. How long does that take? So do you have enough staging area, or do they have to actually wait until they're actually at the boat ramp launch and then they start doing all of this work? So yes,
We got enough idiots.
do, but yeah.
They're
We know
dumb
what's-
enough
yeah.
already. Let's let them be dumb somewhere else.
right. So we want to have a staging area. We call it a make-ready area.
Yeah.
So you're ready, so when you are up, it's your turn, you're in line, and you're going and you're unloading quickly. The next step is, all right, so what happens to that boat that's there, and do I then have to have someone, stay with the boat and then someone else takes the trailer up, or can we go park it on another dock? Okay, can we go use like a courtesy dock or, a boarding dock and, off to the side? And so I think that providing more dock space will also speed up the whole entry and exit process of that boat
And think in
launch.
terms of that launch, that it isn't as much people going out as coming back in at the end of the day. And if the weather turns,
Sure.
everybody's
Oh, yeah.
staging up out there trying to
Yep.
to get in, and people trying to get out more so than everybody funneling in.
Because of
At
course,
one time?
what's happening right now, I mean, you guys are probably familiar with the site, but, there is a sandbar on the south side of the launch where you'll have enough room for maybe 6 to 8, maybe in there.
Yeah.
And then to the north side of the launch, there's probably room for 4, maybe 5, that
Right.
they'll just pull up on the sandbar, hop out, go grab their trailer. And that's kind of the staging area
Yeah.
right now for coming out.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's when it gets crucial that the people have enough room that once they come out, that they can pull out, then unload all their stuff, if they have the boat cleaning station there, do that stuff before they block out a whole bunch of people trying to get in behind them.
Right. So I think what I'm saying is the function of the dock and then the amount of dock space is going to make your rest of your launch more efficient.
Oh,
You know, so if we can kind of all agree on that approach, then we can kind of proceed with more of that dock design.
I think if I can mention too, the docks that are down there now are fairly new, I would think, and of good repair. They seem to be.
Yeah, they got flipped over last year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're newer.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a space thing or whatever, and again, this might be way down the road, but I notice a lot of times people would come in, park their boat at the end of the dock, it doesn't matter, a wife, husband, whatever, one of them would run and go get the truck, now that boat's sitting there.
Right.
So that's kind of basically blocking anyone else's traffic coming and going. So if they want to go do their thing, I don't know if that dock could be out of the thoroughfare?
Yeah, that's what I mean by, we don't have a drawing, but it'd basically be maybe an L-shaped dock. I think maybe Adam can
Like what
go
you're
down to
saying.
Prescott or something.
Just to kind of get it out of the traffic flow, because there are some, we'll just call them professional fishermen that
Right.
are in and out of there in 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And if it can be done, I've been at some where the queue lineup
Yeah.
becomes real evident
Yeah,
of what the staging area is, so that person pulling up can see where it is and oh, here's how how
Right.
it goes, rather than being that guy
Yeah.
who jumped
See-
ahead of
yep, yeah.
somebody who's been,
Because everyone's
Yeah.
waiting at, yeah.
It could be as simple as one of these kind of docks that's, got a gangway out to it, where it could be tied up and
yeah,
stopped and staged there until the actual trailer's in the water, and then they leave that dock and go and load up.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah. And I'll just keep asking questions.
no, go right ahead, that's what they're here for.
So,
Yeah.
I know that we also have the kind of the big master plan that I've talked to the mayor about some secondary boats or some transient docking on the, continuing north up the
Yep.
seawall. We should just keep that page open too as we mesh this together. If we're gonna be talking, God, we need to do new docks, they have to be more north or whatever, that might wet itself pretty well with some of the other things we're thinking about, or at least not
The
build
area
some
would be
improvement.
between the boat launches. If we have 2 boat launches, that area between the 2 of them, been in a situation where that is where your staging areas are, and they'd have a nice, almost rotational flow.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, I think we could work hand in hand with that transient dock that you're talking about. I would just want it to connect back to our dock area here and our boat ramp area
And our
here.
boat launch docks not being confused with parking places,
Right.
that they can leave a boat tied up there for a period of time.
Sure.
While they go up and shop. or they
You're
go-
right, it definitely need to have proper signage, have to be, very distinct areas where it can be parked and where it can't be parked. Yes, agreed. Okay. I think I'll go into a little bit into vehicle traffic and flow, and we talked about that a little bit, about our vehicle and our staging areas, our stacking. Washdown access, I think that's on the consideration for a washdown area.
Yes.
And, that one, I'm going to be honest, is going to be a challenging one to find space for. I'm not saying we can't do it, but that's going to be a challenge to fit into the site. So we will work on that, but I just wanted to make sure that you were still interested in that.
I don't know about the rest of the group, but I would say to look at if a fish cleaning station or a boat cleaning station ecologically to not spread anything from
Invasive
the St. Croix to somewhere else.
Right.
They can clean their fish at home. They
And
probably
it might-
will forget to clean their boat.
And it might keep
With
them in
the
the
invasive
parking, yeah.
issues we have. That's just my own feeling. I don't mean to speak
Sure.
for the group, but I would rather see us err that way and having that, because I think it's.
And you know, you can,
Even more so.
I know it's gonna be challenging, but, I mean, the road in front of the Buckeye Garage there, I mean, that can be, widened a little bit to maybe accommodate some space on the south side or the north side to put a cleaning station, or, wash down station.
Right.
Obviously, we'll have water right at the building there. And then there's a storm sewer that basically goes right underneath the parking lot of the
Right.
current. So, I mean, to tie into that somehow, I mean, just throwing some of the things out there and
Yep.
you work your magic, but I know what you're saying, it'll be challenging, but I think Pat said it's important, and obviously would be applying for some grant monies to help
Yep.
construct the facility with those monies.
Well, I think the cleaning station, fish cleaning station might be, like you said, fun and neat, but it might cause someone to put their boat on the trailer, then go park again, get their fish out, and then spend 10 minutes or a half hour cleaning their fish while that spot's being occupied by a boat, so
Yeah, good point.
That's a good point.
keep 'em moving.
I think the fish cleaning should be up for consideration also, because I think it does probably keep people there longer. It probably delays things.
Yeah.
It kind of creates a mess. It's
Another place for
smelly.
people to leave all their garbage.
Yeah, it's not the cleanest, obviously. So if you're going to not do something, that's probably towards the top of the list,
That's what I
right?
was trying to get at with
Yeah.
the boat cleaning station.
You disagree?
No,
Oh, okay, okay, all right. Yeah.
Clean them at home.
Yep. Okay, well, I think we'll lean towards that. We'll lean towards that right now. Okay,
And even, you can see just to the west of the Buckeye Garage, there's a bunch of picnic tables there.
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, if you need to somehow bump out a curb or a parking bay in there for the wash down, I mean, feel
yeah, I
free to
even
use
looked at that as a small parking area for automobiles, or, if you need ADA ramp
Yeah.
access there.
Right.
I don't know that those striped there meet ADA right now, but if we need ADA right there, we probably have to move it off the street or do something
Kids
like
gotta
that.
use the bathroom quick before you leave.
Yep,
You can park right there, the bathrooms are right there.
I think
You're out of the
Yeah.
flow.
about 5 spaces with maybe 1 or 2 that are ADA accessible, and that's kind of what my first gut feeling tells me. Okay,
But that island that's there doesn't have to stay.
right. Right,
There.
we're kind of, I think Adam and I are in this, imagine that's not a street, okay? Kind of imagine that street goes away. It's part of a driveway, probably, but how do we configure that? So,
Yep.
you want to add to that?
Yeah, just, if we could, ideally, if that's a one-way in and you can get them to exit at another location, that's just gonna improve
Yeah.
your flow. If that's the case, if you got just.
One of the things
coming
that-
in, you've got room to have parking and the kind of ready area right there.
In previous meetings, that was one of the things that was discussed, was being able to take the traffic out.
Is there a way to bring
North
them
of
back
there.
out on First to exit? over?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to do
That's gonna be
everything.
a really busy, narrow
Right.
intersection. And to get it coming out up towards commercial and what.
We kind of want to do everything in our power to make that one way. I mean, that's really where we're going to be. And,
And the other thing to consider that we discussed was, of course, the walking facility, right?
right,
Right now, the trail basically stops at the north end of
Yep,
right there
yep.
at the crosswalk. And obviously, families want to walk down to the playground, so they end up cutting through the parking lot, so on and so forth. So
Yep.
to try and design it so that the walking path continues somehow, some way,
Yeah.
obviously, it's going to have to cross the one way in, the one way out, or however you design it, but to try
Right.
and connect that facility down to the playground.
yeah, I have some sketches on paper that I won't share with you, but they include,
Yeah.
pedestrian, circular access that basically we can get around both sides of that entire area and connect the park area to the Buckeye Building. And yeah, that's definitely connectivity and safety and pedestrian crossings. Even mid-block are okay as long as everyone can see each other.
Right.
You know,
And I've
but-
seen some, they've been more marina boat launch, but where they've had islands of trees. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's real nice to be able, if you're going to be out in the boat all day, to have the Suburban parked underneath the shade of a tree than
Right.
in the sun.
Right.
That, and it also is much more appealing in general view to everyone else than just a big expansive parking lot. So
Right.
to be able to do those kinds of things, feel free.
And the other point, and Paul, you brought this up before with looking at south of Buckeye. I mean, if you can come up with a design to kind of meet 20 more parking spaces in that area, move the playground to the north, then you really wouldn't need to try and force in a walking path down there because the
Right.
playground. So I mean,
Yeah, it's easier to move the playground up, I think, and not have
so
to
I
deal
mean,
with it.
as you're thinking about your alternate designs.
Sure.
I mean, that, and you could exit back out onto to First Street there, just north of the marina entrance. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what you come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and getting into beautification, you know, landscape buffers, islands, trees, those are all part of our design and concept. So we like to have, you know, an aisle and then two sets of parking left and right, and then a green space on both sides of that. So I think the concepts that we have are less invasive asphalt. You know, there's more green space on the outsides of all of those areas. You know, bioswales, I've done those before, where basically we're directing the drainage into a green space swale where we have some trench drains below and some clean rock, and we've got grass on top, and it's filtering. And we're filtering that water, providing water quality treatment to all that storm water. So those are things we'll incorporate. We know that trees are obviously a very important part of this, and I know that there's some nice, I think, hickories and some other nice trees out there. Maybe a couple big cottonwoods that are, you know, maybe getting up there in age. So those are things I think we have a forestry department we can talk to, right? And that guy right there. And yeah, I did a project in a park where we got in there and, you know, kind of a similar thing where we had these 4-foot, 5-foot diameter cottonwood trees. And there was a lot of people that were really, you know, wanted to keep those, and the Parks Department basically came to us and said, you know what, well, let's take those out with this project because they're rotting from the inside out. You know, as you guys probably know, you know, as the center rots, they just continue to rot from outside, and big limbs start falling down and become a safety hazard. So some of those big cottonwoods can really be a damaging issue. So I think there's just a couple of those that we
But I'm
can,
not opposed to planting new ones.
new cottonwood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're indigenous to the valley. We got them
Yep.
everywhere. And they always planted them down in the parks because they
Sure.
grew quick and gave great shade.
Right. So
if you got some
we'll work
seeds.
on that, but I think, you know, so we can relocate some trees, we can look at saving what we can, but we'll definitely look at that. So how about other amenities in the park area? If we were to do anything in that, I'll call it green space on either side, is there any other amenities that the park board would like to have or see? You know, there's a few benches out there, there's, you know, we'll have trash receptacles, things like that. Is there anything else that,
Another smaller picnic pavilion would be nice on that end. You know, if we would look at the area between the volleyball court, let's say, and the river, but I'm sure those people playing volleyball would like to have some shade.
Yeah.
You know, that would be, you know, those kinds of things would,
Maybe that, and, you know, if you do get into relocating this equipment, that might be an opportunity to include that, you know,
Yeah.
shade structures for the playground itself. Or, you probably got a lot of shade now with these trees here, but yeah, is there opportunity to build a smaller structure, seating?
Or just a slab and
Okay.
a roof, you know?
I think Ted, you touched on it. It's just trying to soften the site with green space, with islands, with trees, so on and so forth. So it's not just a hunk of asphalt.
Right.
I think you understand.
Okay.
that.
All right. All right, I'm just going to go into a couple things, and restroom access, with that Buckeye building, do we have opportunity for any public restroom access in the future? I mean, for instance, or do you just want to stick with the porta potties?
So there are public
Okay.
restrooms attached. to
I
it.
thought so.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they're completely open all the time, or?
They're open,
Okay.
from May until October.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We were going to do some improvements there last summer, but of course, water, but we will be looking at, updating them with some new fixtures,
Right.
stanchions, so on and so forth. They serve the purpose down there.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's access right now, signage and access. So if if you guys worked on improving the bathrooms, we provided a path to get to them, we had lighting to get to them, and a sign that says restrooms this way. I think we'd, see some use out of those in a good way. So, okay. Potable water access off the building, that's really all we have, and I think that's probably all we should need. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Fish cleaning area, we already talked about. Boat wash down, we talked about, and we kind of covered those. So we're going good here.
No, pets get sick from one to the next, and then we're liable for
There
the
you
dog
go.
dying.
Yeah, they can drink out of the river.
Yeah, exactly.
Never mind. Yeah.
Parking, we looked at about 40 stalls currently. We can look at some increases there. We can look at some different types of pavement. I've done some pervious concrete work. It's somewhat difficult sometimes to get traffic on it, traffic rated pervious concrete. So, sometimes that doesn't work as well. But we're going to look at opportunities for green, best management practices. We're going to look for that opportunity out there. So, a lot of the issues become snow plowing and, some other things with different kinds of pavement. There's a reason we're with asphalt and concrete. Those are kind of our two standbys.
Yeah, and obviously with the river fluctuation down there, how that green infrastructure would hold up over the long haul, right?
Right.
It's all on
Right.
silt.
I'm sorry?
It's all on silt. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
right.
nothing under it.
Right. And so we'll have some filtration beds, but we'll look at that and try to incorporate what we can. Okay. Lighting there, we have some, I don't know if Mike or anyone knows how old the lights are that are down there. Okay.
Kind of a mix of
Yeah.
It is.
old lamps, these old ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think technology's
Yeah.
improved greatly since those went in.
I think you get 3 different styles all within that section. But
That's all right.
it's whether I think it's just a decision, do you want all new, something
Yeah.
decorative, or do we match what we got?
So we are doing the street reconstruction project in 2021 through downtown, and we're going to be combining the decorative lamps and the overheads that we have down there with the Cobras on them into one kind of decorative light
Sure.
that we would probably look to place down in this area too to
Sure, that
match
makes
to try,
sense.
and then
Right.
as we continue to replace them going north on First Street in the future, we would kind of just keep that same. So the whole downtown is the same. So I can get you that information.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier
Yep.
when you know the
Yeah,
exact.
exactly.
full
It's already
line.
been kind of picked out and decided. So.
Save a lot of design time, I guess.
Is there any other special lighting that we might think about? I mean, lighting on the docks gets difficult because you're pulling them in and out, all those kind of factors. So, any other specialty things that are out there?
I happen to think we don't want to go too deluxe. I know you talked about a pavilion, or well, let's talk about fish cleaning. I kind of want people that want to launch their boat. They can use this to launch their boat, and then once they're done, move out of the way so more people can come through there. I think cool lights or making it really a cool place to hang out.
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't think we really want that.
Yeah, we aren't looking to, we don't have to attract people.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, we want it to be functional.
Back in their park.
If we could go back to like we used to have it, where half of them were for Hudson residents only,
Right.
we'd do it.
Functional and safe. I think those are a couple of things that we want to keep doing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, signage. I think just clear wayfinding signs, you know. I think just, you have a lot of signs down there. I think we probably reassess all of those signs, not saying they go away, but I think we just reassess and inventory them and understand what do we need and what don't we need, and make sure we're kind of clearly directing people the right direction.
And you guys are aware of what's happening on Second Street and the
Yep.
traffic needs on
Yep.
First Street and through that area coming at you.
Right, right. And I'm talking more about the signage probably internally there with the, you know, the parking in the park, and, you know, there's just a lot of little things there that,
It's in need of some updating.
you'd be
with the-
surprised how many signs are out there, I think, right now.
Yeah.
I took some photos, and there's a lot of signs out there. Okay.
Who sang that song, Sign, Sign Everywhere?
Yeah.
Sign?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but that's gonna be real confusing for people going through there
Oh, yeah.
when the construction's going on and
Yeah.
where are they supposed to be and where's the boat launch and,
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll just have to stay plugged into that if they're doing a detour and, you know, that we got First Street torn up, or there's doing
Yeah.
some work there. It's gonna have to all be coordinated, so. Yeah, I guess we've heard that overlays with reconstruct, so I think that's, most of those details are just.
Yeah, that's a good part is through the downtown area, it is just an overlay, so it won't be a huge inconvenience.
Sure.
And I know the actual detour route is on Second Street. They'll just shift over one side or the other. There just won't be parking on Second, so the locals and people who know will cut down to First, but for the most part, most of the traffic should stay on Second.
Okay.
Side note.
The utilities in general, we have some storm sewer existing on the site there. We just want to make sure, and we have some in First Street. You know, the development put in, you know, I think some new intakes there. So we just want to make sure that those are handled correctly and that we, you know, try to avoid backups. You know, we don't want water coming back up the storm sewer and then coming out of the storm sewer, and, you know.
That does happen right now currently.
Yeah, and so,
So there, yeah, that one that is just south of the boat launch doesn't have any type of backflow preventer on it, right? So water will feed up that line and actually come out the catch basin on First Street.
Right.
Which will actually flood First Street out before it actually gets into the parking lot. So we want to try and incorporate some sort of backflow gate or valve or something on the end of the outlet. I know we had them down in Wabasha and they worked really
Right.
well along the Mississippi.
it's that guy right there. Yeah, that's kind of why I have that item in there, is I knew that happened, and without raising First Street, we're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think it's a backflow. We can consider a mechanical type backflow, or we can consider a manual one.
Sure.
That you guys kind
Oh,
of
and
put, you know, maybe
shut.
a knife valve that
Yeah.
you shut when you know it's coming.
Something like that,
You
yeah.
know?
Just something to block the water.
Yeah. And then, you know, is there Mike, is there an option where we have it pumped? You guys have it pumps and we try to get it back over to the river, or what do you guys do sometimes there?
We'll just close the road. That's what we do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we could keep the water from coming back up the storm sewer, I guess there might be a chance you could pump it down
Yeah.
and try to still use First Street. So, okay. All right. Water and sewer impacts, I don't think there'll be much there, but we'll just be aware of, you know, all the water and sewer. I don't know that there's any sanitary sewer service in that parking
No, there shouldn't be.
area at all. Private utility impacts, we shouldn't have a lot of impacts there either with private utilities, so hopefully we can avoid any of that. So then our next steps, we get the background data, the base plan, and start with these conceptual alignments and alternatives and layouts, and come back to groups with some ideas. So I got through the agenda here, so we went faster than we might have thought, right? So
So do you want each park board member to take this first sheet home, take it and jot down some notes, and then they can hand them back up into Deb, and then
Yeah.
Deb can scan them?
Just to
forward
scan and
back?
email it, that'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Do we want to give them a deadline?
Yeah, how much, why?
Yeah.
Let's see, 1 week?
So if we get them by the 21st submission, that's a week and a half?
Yep, that'd be
Friday.
fine.
I got a clean copy. Do you have plenty of copies?
Yeah, we have some more
Or
too.
we can
I've
just
been,
email the
Just
questions.
Or you can
Give me
just
a
snap-
clean
you could
copy.
Email the comments.
Yeah, I'll just.
I just took a bunch of notes on,
Oh, I see.
I need
some of
to-
them are private, I don't want to share with you guys, so.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll scan that and send it out to the park board members
Yep.
tomorrow? Okay.
So I have a quick question for Paul.
Yeah.
And for Pat. So as we look at this, I want to give these are the creative guys, and so we want to kind of give them as much, maybe not a blank sheet of paper, but as big of a piece of paper as possible. And I know you felt strongly about looking at the south, the park there. I feel strongly to try to, it sounds like Pat does too, to try to avoid getting rid of that park. That's a very historic park and whatever.
Well, I know from the meetings that the search committee and the mayor had in discussion with them and with your firm anyway, as that was laid out at that time, was that the south end wasn't
Was off limits.
part of the concept, and that it would all stay to the north on that with, and all I could suggest is talk to some of the neighbors down there who use it, or like Bruce Lenzen, his office is overlooking it all the time, and how heavily it is used by kids, and with the sailing school and all that down there.
And I'm with, so I'm at the point where I want to respect your opinion.
Yeah.
But also not spin our wheels with things. I'm also at the marina, and I know that intersection, especially on the weekends, you've got boats wanting to go in, in there. You've got marina people wanting to take a left turn in and right turn out. And, at least it's at an intersection. I mean, I see that someday becoming a four-way stop, or at least a three-way stop. Right now you can take a right. Maybe that's better for it. But anyway, my point is that, part of it is I like that park. I think it does get used a lot. But again, we can both say, I like this, I like that. But I think my fear is that if we do any kind of in and out south of that road, south of the building there, that what is almost an alley, you're going to have Bruce Lenzen's property, you're going to have the marina, you have our service department, you have the marina main gate, more trailers trying to take a left out of there and then a right. I think that's going to need its own traffic study. So that for a few other reasons, I'm thinking we try to stay to the north and not dip to the south. And at what point do we decide that so they can move on, or do we let them do their thing and come up with a lot of different ideas, and then we pick through it?
Well, I'd like to see both concepts. That's
Okay.
why kind of I'm pushing it.
Yeah,
Because I don't know
okay.
what it would look like, but I'd like to see the options for both of those.
Okay.
One to the north, one to the south.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Or kind of
combination
a
of-
like we talked
combination
about,
of,
yeah.
I mean, maybe when they look at it and they look
I
at
don't
it.
think, I'm trying to say, I don't think we're the ones who make the choice.
Okay.
No, I mean,
No, but
ultimately,
I
the
think the option
common
there.
council will make the choice, but,
No, I think there's also been a lot of input from the mayor and from others to what
I think you have to
has
look
to
at it
hold
though.
already.
yeah, and I haven't been privy to any of those conversations. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
I haven't.
represent
No, but I think the underlying one is, though, that if we do encroach to the north, I don't think we're giving up anything in terms of what's currently being used, and it's overlooked. I mean, it's something that's like a boulevard. It's looked over as opposed to a space that's actively used and participated on. But I think the greater concern is that aesthetically, what we do down there has to enhance the green space, not detract from it. And I think we can do that in a way, or you guys can do it in a way that, just like I said earlier, it doesn't look like we just put in a big damn parking lot. But that some real thought went into what it looks like. all the rest of the time, because everybody else has to look at it.
I agree.
Besides the boaters.
Right.
You know, I mean, if it's only 60 spots, those 60 people are controlling what everybody looks at.
Well, that's the other thought on the shuttle service. I think we got to be serious about what other parking, they don't have to park there. They need to launch their boat there, but they don't have to park there. If we are creative about
Yeah.
having them park in another lot and providing some kind of a shuttle service on the weekends or, the peak times, that's a creative option that I think is worth looking at.
But Uber back to, I mean.
Right.
So, I appreciate that, because kind of in summary, and again, I'm kind of walking two lines. I'm a resident I'm a neighbor down there. I know it looks like a marina building,
Yep.
but there's 300 landowners down there, and we pay property taxes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think if that park were just to go, now it's all these Fisher people from Wisconsin, or from Woodbury are now here, that would be, that's my personal take on that. But again, I value that. Let's see what they come up with.
Right.
We're not the final deciders, so I'm trying to funnel it a little bit, but I don't want to funnel it so much where
Yep.
you and I don't get one way or the
Well,
other.
maybe they look at it and they find that they can only fit 10 to 15 spaces down there realistically. I mean, is it really worth upsetting the apple cart over
Right.
that amount of spaces? Well, maybe they can fit 20 or 25. Well, then that's a different discussion.
Okay.
But Maybe just have a look at it.
I think what we can do is do a kind of a low-level concept there.
Yeah.
Without getting into a lot of detail, just to see how many spaces we can get.
Yeah, just a bubble drawing.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's good to hear those concerns with this access, and, maybe
It is a tight road down there.
maybe we got this to work out as a one-way that serves both directions, and they're coming in this way to launch. Mm-hmm. Could offset some of the impacts of the traffic that's all trying to get here if this was just their exit. But
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure we do our homework, basically. I
Yeah.
want to look at the options.
That's legitimate.
Yep.
That's totally legitimate.
if that's, if that's like you said, if we want to see that as one of the concepts, we can go that route. And
Yeah, because I think we're looking at 3 separate concepts. South, current footprint, and then
Okay.
extending it to the north,
Yeah.
20 spaces. Or
Yep.
All right. Any other questions for us tonight?
Good, Dan? I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, from the time what are you looking at as a start date that you guys would like to hit and then targeting that as completion? What do you see it at?
We're hinging a little bit right now on the survey, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so the snow and that kind of stuff is holding us up a little bit.
Yeah.
The city's getting the survey right, Mike?
Waiting on a scope of services
Okay.
from Tim.
Okay.
And do you think we'll be able to utilize the launch during part of the construction? Or would it be far easier and less expensive to just close the whole thing while you're doing everything?
That's probably a little premature to answer that right now. I think hopefully that the water's down, right, and it could be used, but, in the past, it's been so that you couldn't use it anyway, even, even during normal times. So I think we're a little premature. I can't probably answer that tonight,
Sure.
but we'll think about that, definitely.
and if the work's got to get done out in the water first, obviously a piece of it,
Yeah.
it's all closed then. But there may be that stage in there where that's done, and then there's not the parking there because they're doing the parking lot. You might have a period of half and half, or
The trouble might be,
understand that having
yeah.
open is important.
Trouble might be is we might be able to have the boat launch open, but do we have parking for it? That might be
And that's a bigger nightmare.
Yeah.
Might as well have it closed.
that might be the catch-22 with that.
So just out of curiosity for the launch itself, what are your recommendations for constructing the ramp? Do you cofferdam and pour in place, or do you plank it, or what have you?
Probably a combination of those two is probably where we'll be.
Okay.
A large portion will be poured in place. There might be some pieces that are precast.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
that's kind of typically how a lot of those ramps are done. Is the further into the water, that's where the precast starts. But, we'll definitely be do some cofferdamming and pumping there. So
Yeah.
kind of depends on our layout and how that looks. And you know, if you have any old plans, I don't know, Mike, if your department has any old plans on what that might be, that might help us,
Yeah,
what's underwater there,
yeah. I'll look.
that might help.
Okay.
I would say the late 80s, I would guess. If I had to guess, I'm going to say like the late 80s, if you have it by timing.
Do you know when that went in? Pat, you gotta know.
Yeah, no, that went in the 90s, in
Early 90s? But I'll look.
93,
Okay.
94, I want to say.
With the boat launch?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a photo that shows about 92 that looks real similar to what we have today.
Yeah,
Back to 92, and you can tell.
That's 1992,
Okay.
right there. Pretty much the same shape of the outline of that.
Yep, you're right.
I don't know if the mayor's had any luck with this photo contest of the baseball diamond, but maybe someone's
that was
got the last year of the diamond or something.
Said no, hasn't had any luck, no.
Oh. Great.
Okay.
Well, does anybody else have anything for, other than the surveys that you fill out and return to us by the 21st? Good.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it coming.
Anybody wants a card of mine?
Yes.
Yeah, please. Thanks.
put that on the scan too. Yeah.
Thanks.
Outdoor rec plan. Need a second. Do you want to go into any of that now, or you want?
Yeah, I got yours. We can, for the sake of time, we can postpone, or we can go into
However
it.
you wish.
Let's burn through it.
Yeah.
Let's burn through it. So obviously, this is a continuation of our previous meeting, well, two ago already, where I'm asking the park board to kind of look at the current amenities listed in the outdoor rec plan for each park. Obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we got 7 parks in front of us tonight. I just kind of want to start at Anderson Park and work our way through. Obviously, the purpose is to either add amenities to the parks or remove those that have been completed. Obviously, there is time to add. If you can't think of something tonight, you can add it at the next meeting. But what I'm going to do is based upon when we did this exercise the last time and tonight, what I'll do is I'll put a dollar amount to each amenity, and they'll all be on Velcro, and I'll come with a big board at the next park board meeting, and we'll list out the next 5 years, and I'll say we have X amount of dollars to spend in 2021, X amount in 2022, so on and so forth. And then the park board will kind of pick and choose and prioritize the parks they want to do based upon the amenities that we have listed in the outdoor rec plan. So to get a more realistic goal as far as each year, what amenities we're going to try and pick off in the parks.
And Deb scanned that layout that Mark Putman had originally done for Prospect, and you saw all kinds of things in there that, like the baseball diamond and stuff that probably never go in.
Yeah.
But at least it was in there so that catch-22 wouldn't catch us later. Well, it wasn't in the master plan, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so I think there's things that we want to look at in each of the parks that, yeah, it's a pie in the sky, may not happen, but boy, it'd be nice if the ability ever came to be able to do that.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, from my perspective is then I take what the park board recommends each year, and I take that group of amenities that we want to add to our park system, and I bring it to the council in August and October, September, October, when we're doing the budget cycling, or the bonding cycles, I'm sorry, every other year, and I say, you know, the park board is recommending these projects for 2021, recommending these projects for 2022. 2021 is going to cost $300, 2022 is going to cost $225, but at least it's in the document. We're pulling those projects from that document. There's a plan in place, so on and so forth. So, Anderson Park, currently in the proposed improvements, it's resurfaced basketball court, resurfaced tennis court, and playground upgrades. So are there any other amenities? Obviously, the restroom facility was just constructed.
And we talked about parking.
Parking.
Was it Bart?
When we were talking about the pickleball court,
Yeah.
about that slanted parking.
Yeah, that side, that angle parking along
Yeah.
River Ridge Road.
You can't
That would
even
go
see
on there.
this.
Yep.
And another little picnic shelter
Okay.
for up there.
Okay. I mean, obviously, it's more of a neighborhood park, right, where kids go and play basketball, and the older kids go play basketball, younger kids go play in the playground. It's a nice little park up there. I think it gets used quite often.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Burkmoos Park, currently what's listed in the outdoor rec plan is just trail improvements. Obviously, it's more of a passive overlook type park. A couple benches up there. I don't even think there's a shade structure, to tell you the truth. Picnic area. So,
Stop picking tails.
We don't need them.
Yeah.
There's plenty of trees.
yeah. So I think it's for what it's used for, basically for people to go snap a couple photos and read a book or take a walk up there. I think it's pretty. Burton Park, obviously, in the current plan, it's permanent hockey boards, upgrade the ball fields, remove the fencing, remove the wooden poles, LED lighting, landscaping. We are going to tackle letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D, letter F, hopefully this summer. As we reconfigure that park, we do have that money in the CIP to go forward with those improvements.
Can we scrape it in some way to make it easier for flooding
Yes,
at that time?
yes, that's the
That was-
purpose of it. Yeah.
That'd be great.
That's what I was going to ask is, there was mention at Grandview about moving, once we get the pavilion, right? As a warming house and then having that,
Having
the
skating
rink
up
out there?
too. Mhm.
Yeah, is that a better longer-term place to flood than Burton?
To be honest, I think both locations would be
Yeah,
good
Burton
places.
is more of a neighborhood.
Right.
Kids walk to it and that kind of thing. But the problem with it has always been, they have to build up 6 to 8 inches of ice on one side to get it level before
Right.
they can.
Right.
I think I'm sorry, Pat.
No, go ahead.
I think last Saturday, was it last Saturday? The place was packed.
Yeah.
With kids, just packed with them.
Yeah.
It was a nice,
So if we can make
Just a
it
nice
easier
day, we're
enough
skating.
to
Nice
hold
day.
ice, it would make the whole process of utilization, getting it ready a lot easier.
maybe
Right.
2 weeks ago, so whatever.
And I think if we had one out at Grandview too, both would be packed.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Can I ask what you mean by permanent boards? What do you mean by?
So, like, City of Bayport has permanent hockey
Oh,
boards.
yeah, yeah, so they'd be up,
Yep, up year round.
okay.
Yep, we would reconfigure the baseball diamonds, still have 2 of them there, and then we would be able to fit permanent hockey boards in there. And then basically we would reshape, regrade, so it's more of a bowl, right?
Oh, yeah.
And put some decent rock base in there so that it's easier to make ice, keep ice, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, that's the goal.
All right, nice.
Dan knows how to drive a Zamboni, so.
Yeah, right?
Any
Perfect.
help flooding,
Yeah.
he's the guy.
Flooded our own stuff when I was a kid, so.
Yeah. So other things off the top of my head for Burton Park would be, well, playground upgrades. Obviously, it's brand new, but if we're looking
Long-term,
like
yeah.
poured in place rubber like we have at White Camp Park, it's easier to maintain. So I'm just gonna,
More all-access
yep.
playgrounds?
Yep.
More
Yeah.
all-access stuff that opens up the ability to, like the surface that went in
At White Camp.
up at White Camp,
Yep.
but playgrounds that are,
I'll put sidewalks slash.
Are the bathrooms in good shape there in the warming house?
They were just redone 4 years ago?
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago?
Okay.
Yeah, so they're okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
like on bathroom expansion.
Yeah, I would say long-term.
Why not? If it gets really used,
Right,
Yeah.
and it's getting heavy, then it's there to be able to
right.
say, yeah, it's in the plan to expand them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else for Burton Park at this time? Coons Hill, nothing listed. Obviously, it was an old sledding hill off of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with that park?
No, just from what Pat said, the tow rope and stuff along there, and,
No, it used to
Yeah.
be ski jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scaffold and all that on there.
So it's kind
When
of,
it was Stewart's pasture, the cattle kept it nibbled down to nothing, right?
yeah.
But-
So, I mean, what's there right now is basically a small parking area. And then around the parking lot, there's just some wooden posts that kind of delineate where to park. And this is basically an open field. That's all that's really there.
And then there's a walking trail that goes through, down the bottom of the valley that connects from.
I'm sure the neighbors use it to walk their dogs in, but
Oh, yeah.
as far as like a destination, it's,
It's not lit, it's not.
No,
there's
nothing.
Not even signage, is there?
there's signs there.
Is there
yeah.
signage? Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been there.
So, okay. Grandview Park, so proposed improvements, restroom, shade structure pavilion, playground upgrades.
I think we should add the pickleball, because that's what we're talking about tonight, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
yep. I'm gonna put,
Anything for dog park? Do we need to mention anything?
sidewalks and trails.
Yeah.
Is
You
there
mean
a-
like dog park apparatus, amenities type things, or?
Yeah, is there like a water,
No, it's a bring your own.
okay.
There's not like a doggy fountain or anything
That's
like
what I'm
that.
thinking, that at some point, it'd be nice to add that if we could or something.
Yeah.
If the plumbing's there, right?
Stuff for the dog park that we need to consider or have in there,
No.
like a shade pavilion over there.
I'll put shade structures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I
then
mean-
you could almost do shade structure there. I mean, I know Boosters has called me about shade structures over the bleachers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Netting, the backstops.
Yeah, I'm netting. The other thing that they did contact me about was, and the reason they talked to me is because of the Grandview lease agreement for the concessions, is reconfiguring the concession stand to make it more usable. Right now, it's very small, and they have to bring items in and out, and they can't leave them there. And they said if they could somehow reconfigure the concession area, bathroom area, and make it more functional for them, that would be a lot easier for them to set up, tear down, and just kind of leave things
And do we
stay
want to tie any storage
right into
the
that too.
area for parks into that
Right.
at the same time, right? That they have future storage facilities? So they're not schlepping stuff from all over, but
Concession realignment. Reconfig. I mean, obviously, they would have some skin in the game when it comes to something like that, but I mean, at least I have it in there. So I added pickleball, doggy fountain, sidewalks, trails, shade structures, storage, concession reconfiguration to Grandview. Obviously, we're tackling A and B.
anything we need to say about lighting?
Oh, well, wasn't that, didn't they convert that to LED?
No, but I mean, if we want to add lighting over by the
Oh.
dog park, or we want to add lighting over by the pickleball court.
Oh, sure.
or we want to add.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
mean,
point.
To that, further illumination is part of the plan, not, you already maxed out what you had, you
Yeah.
don't want you to do anymore.
Right.
Yeah. The one thing that we will consider about Grandview Park is the playground. Castle Park, as we know it, it was a community-driven project, and it's nearing, it's all wood, right?
Yeah.
It's a wooden structure. It's nearing the end of its life cycle without some major rehabilitation. So I'm going to try and reach out to the group that initially kind of got that project going, see if they want to try and come back in and rehab it or start over, so on and so forth. But that's a major need up there as well. So it gets used a lot.
Changed,
Yeah.
You know, the organization's changed so much.
Yeah, those kids are grown now.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what they said would happen.
And obviously, I mean, like I said, when I started this, if you think of anything else, please email me or bring it up at our next meeting. Hudson Meadows, this is out off of county or Old Highway 35. Right now, there's just a shade structure out there,
Oh,
a
yeah.
picnic pavilion.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the only space available there. So it's more, it was one of those things where when the development came in, they said they had to dedicate some parkland, and they gave the stormwater facility with a little flat area, and that was pretty much it, so. And then Lakefront Park, obviously a lot on this list for there. This is all kind of derived from the 5-year capital plan and then the Lakefront Vision Study, so do you want me to read each one of these, or?
No.
No.
Okay, thank goodness.
So the pickleball,
But the
Yeah.
vision study covers everything.
Right.
So do we just need to reference that?
Yeah, I think we could.
so the pickleball courts, now that we have them at
Yeah.
Grandview, do we take that off of Lakefront, I think, right?
Yes, I would.
Yes, yes.
Let's say, that was.
And
Obviously,
then
ex-
to speak
exercise-
to, Mike, your point too about the transient dock, is that separate or is that part of?
That would be, the transient dock would be along the seawall.
That's
But
why I
is that-
asked if we just need to reference the vision study, which would encompass everything that was in that,
Yeah.
which would go from the marina
Right,
all the way to
All the way.
St. Christ Street,
right,
Yeah. And I can look,
and pick up the trails along there,
yeah,
the recommendations there about things to do to the dike.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can probably scan that and resend this plan.
Yeah,
to them.
yeah, that would be,
I don't know when the last time you had it.
I think everybody,
I think
would like to have it.
This one?
yeah.
The lakefront, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
And obviously, you know, there's a lot of,
Send it again?
I don't think that you guys.
If you don't mind, I don't know if I'd
Send it.
You don't even know if you're gonna.
If you can email it or something, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
that'd be great, yeah. But
So-
Pat, are you saying just put a reference to that study on here?
Yeah,
Okay, and that then it would cover all of that, you're saying?
that's what I'm asking, if that would.
Yeah, or I can just, I'll go through the study and I'll list out everything that the study calls for too. I mean, I can do it that way too, so. Don't
That
bother me.
addresses stuff up between St. Croix Street and.
Yep, the trailhead and
Yeah.
canoe kayak launch and transient docks
Yeah.
and you name it.
That'd be great.
Yeah, okay.
And
Amphitheater.
we need, I don't know if we need to come up with another name to give it, to reference it. But by Little Dam,
Yeah,
where Buck Malik's Sportsman's Group is putting in the handicap fishing docks and fishing piers and that, and we've talked about wanting to put porta potty down there.
Yeah.
Should we give that a name?
is it parkland?
I thought we tried to put it in Scott Parkland, that's why we couldn't.
I don't know.
I'll look into it and I'll bring a recommendation back to the next park board meeting because it would be a neat area and I know there's been discussions about, like you said, the fishing piers, the possible bike trail going across the old railroad bridge, paving that area, making a canoe kayak launch for Lake
Getting the
Malibu.
access from Excel Energy
Yeah.
that abuts it, going from St. Croix Street that direction with trails. You know, so where I'm going with it is bathrooms, lighting, parking improvements, safety, all that kind of stuff. If it's in our plan,
Yeah,
then we can go for grants for it and all that stuff.
right. I'll look and see,
Right.
because doesn't the park board have to accept parkland?
Whatever we gotta do to make
Sure.
it kosher.
Okay. Because the other thing too that I brought up to Deb is, you know, with all these developments coming in, I know there's parkland as part of the Lee property annexation. That'll be coming into the city. St. Croix Meadows has, I think, 2 acres there. And it hasn't been officially dedicated to the city. So it's nothing that we have to incorporate in this one, but in the next one we will, right? But those will be on the horizon too, Atwood property. So, but I'll look at that area by Little Dam.
I said we haven't done it for how long, so it's like, there's a process, so.
But yeah, that would be one to, and then the Lake Malibu fishing pier and boat launch.
Right.
Corky Spear?
Corky's Pier, that would be part of, that wasn't part of the vision study, because it ended at St. Croix.
Right.
But we should include that in any,
Plan that we're doing.
Plan,
So,
so that-
well, so let's talk about
it's-
Corky's Pier real quick, because right now it's just a boat launch. And we have a porta potty there, and that's about it, a couple benches. So,
shade, be nice to look at, wouldn't it, down
Yeah,
there?
I think so.
Shade structure? A boat cleaning station, right? If there's ever the opportunity that they can get a grant to improve, it's in the plan.
yeah.
There's sewer and water there.
I don't think so.
But there is.
Used to be the dairy bar.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Used to be a restaurant there.
Restroom.
Used to be a restaurant.
All right.
No, I mean, any of those pie in the sky things.
Yeah, right.
Dogs.
I don't know, that's what I'm saying. Is it park? Is it, we've always been the ones who
I think it's
said,
park.
didn't,
Well, look.
and,
I would assume it's park. But
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's good. So like I said, I'll put dollar amounts to all these. We'll check on that little dam area. And then at next month's meeting, we'll start to kind of try to prioritize some projects. So we'll put a cap on you of like 50,000.
It would really
That should
be,
cover it.
Yeah, that'll cover it.
it'd be nice in long-range planning. to
Yeah.
Have every,
We can go out, we can go
see,
out
Hudson
10,
ends
15
at
years.
Little Dam.
20.
Okay.
That was the channel the Willow took, and everything
Yeah.
on the other side was north.
Oh, okay.
Just
All right.
in the park, yeah.
And all that's filled from the railroad and all that
Railroad,
stuff. But
Call it what you want.
to be able to have that be better utilized as
Can't get it
a
back.
park area in the
Yeah.
future would be sweet. The concern has always been on the part of the railroads since 9/11. That's an important crossing.
Yeah, very.
But
Fine streets.
boy, to be able to, in the future, have that improved down there and think of pavilions and picnic areas and,
Yeah, it'd be a neat little area.
oh, it really would.
It is neat, yeah.
And put in place, you know, we're small on size at Corky's Pier with
Yeah.
what can go there, but to have another put in place for kayakers and
Yeah.
wake, you know, that to go
Residents
over
have
there
reached
would
out
be,
to-
would be
Yeah.
super, you know. More fishing piers for
Yep.
kids and handy, I mean, could be so much.
Yeah.
And if North Hudson doesn't want it, we'll take it. Get them to secede it to the city of Hudson.
Right. I like the way you think, Ben.
Oh, we had it at one time. We had all the, I believe it was all the funding in place before the depot building was torn down
Oh, okay.
to acquire it. And North Hudson didn't want to participate. So it fell through. So they would have had that building there grandfathered in. Would have gotten it from the railroads.
Super excited.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Next.
Okay. Vine Street Square.
All right,
Signage,
so
sure.
this is a continuation. Again, I know all you kind of read through the memo, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Really no reason to put one up there, so just staff recommends staying the status quo.
Okay.
And then finally,
They've been like ants on a snow cone there
yeah,
with the snow this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's just
yeah,
the gleeful laughter
yeah.
just fills the whole valley. It's beautiful.
Great, yeah, it's great. Project updates,
So we're just.
we'll talk about this under project
I missed
updates.
the Vine Street.
Vine Street, just
Nothing
not
needed.
status quo, not placed.
Okay, nothing.
Project updates, we did go out, we did repost the bids for the Grandview Park Pavilion. They're due on the 26th at 11 o'clock. Keep your fingers crossed for some good numbers this time. We did make some changes on building materials, some of the concrete work, so to try to get us closer to that 250 mark that we're shooting for. So that's that. And then finally, got some, Karen had contacted Deb about the meeting times. Planning Commission moved their meeting time up to 6 o'clock on that first Tuesday, which kind of has interfered with Park Board. And so we're looking at, I don't know if you guys got this.
Yeah, here, you can just share a couple of these. I'll just.
So Deb, maybe you can explain what you did here. Explain what you did.
Oh. So normally we would meet on the first Tuesday of the month. And if everything in yellow is a conflict with Plan Commission, so they would be meeting at 6 o'clock. So we were hoping that we could start at 5. That'll give us an hour meeting and
for planning commission. Is 5 o'clock too early for?
No, I can,
Any of
I do
you?
that for public works.
Does 5 o'clock work?
Does 5 o'clock work for you,
Because then
Mike?
we can kind of stay on the same
Yeah, that should
schedule,
be good, yeah.
obviously,
Okay.
except for the couple election days, we've had to change it to the second, so.
So that's what we'll do. We'll just move the
We'll
meeting
be
up to
sending out
5.
invitations, so you're going to get a gazillion of them then.
Okay, perfect.
That's
You're
fine.
okay with that?
That helps,
So,
yeah, I'd rather have that.
Sorry.
I didn't say, send them on, that way we can block out our,
Yeah, then it automatically blocks it out in your calendar and other stuff doesn't.
So my question, do they all go to 5 or just the ones in yellow?
They're all going to go at 5, everything. Yeah,
perfect.
If we can do
That's
5
easier.
o'clock on every day, so we can get back on the 5 o'clock schedule.
That sounds
It just
great.
makes a long night for
Yeah.
you, but
That's okay.
you're young yet. Okay.
Well, then you can get out of it. You don't want this order?
If that's the one that
Yeah, it
you
is.
photocopied
Okay.
and sent me, I don't need it.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Any items for future agendas or projects that people have that, if not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Second?
Yes. Standard.